Hi, and welcome back to another episode of Scott's Soldiers. Recently I was in London to attend the London Toy Soldiers show, and while I was there, it dawned on me that Andy Morant and the Armory of St. James are the last of what had been a city rich in toy soldier stores and vendors. For those of you that don't know, Andy has been selling toy soldiers from his stall in Portobello Market for almost 37 years. I've known Andy for almost 10 of those, and he has been my go-to guy to find those hard-to-find Britons and other rare sets that I'm always in search of. Because he's been in this business for so long, Andy is a font of knowledge, and this has also made him a collector of some of the harder-to-find and rarer sets in the hobby. His knowledge allows him to buy what he knows will sell or what his clients are looking for. His sources of figures are no surprise. Collectors downsizing, auctions, estates, boot sales, the same places where many of us can be found. So take the time to listen to my interview of Andy, review what I purchased from him, and check out his website. Or, if you're in London on a Saturday, go down to Portobello and see him at his stall.
So here's what I picked up from Andy. I noticed he had an unboxed set of King & Country's First of the Few. This set was a limited edition sold in the early 1990s for the anniversary of the Battle of Britain. I purchased a set at its store in Hong Kong in 1992. The figures are gloss and are well sculpted and painted. I also purchased two more figures of Britain's number 1633 Princess Patricia's Canadian Light Infantry. These are pre-war and will join the ranks of my large collection of this regiment. Finally, I picked up a Del Prado World War II Kriegsmarine sailor. I find Del Prado is a cost-efficient way of adding to a King & Country diorama, and this sailor will blend in nicely with the Kriegsmarine U-boat set that you may have seen already in episode 1. Before we join Andy, I want to share with you his current pride and joy. It's Britain's set number 131. Now this set has already been written up and discussed in a number of toy soldier reviews, but seeing it in person is a whole different experience. The figures are pristine, the colors are bright, and with few exceptions are still tied in the boxes. Andy mentioned that he picked this up in an auction and had to buy each set individually, including the original wooden box which contained the sets. He told me that it is one of 3 known complete sets, but it is the only one with the camel core figures, so it is truly unique and one of a kind. For now, he is enjoying it and has no plans to sell it.
So we're here with Andy Morant.
Yep. Hi, Scott.
And Andy, you and I have known each other for just under 10 years.
Yes, yeah.
And you're still working at Portobello.
I've been there 34 years now.
And what do you think? Is it still the place to go to shop for toy soldiers in London?
Well, in the old days, there were a lot of toy soldier dealers there. Bill Kingsman, Seamus Wade, lots of guys, Peter Flatow. But like everything that was 34 years ago, it's not the same anymore. It's all changed. Everything's changed. There's virtually no shops anywhere now to buy the figures.
So really, if you're coming to London, it's that or the store there down in downtown London, the Armory.
Oh, the Armory, yeah, but the Armory does new figures. I'm the only one left doing the old figures.
So what are you selling?
I am selling all of them. All types of figures, from early Britons, Mignot, Hyder, all the way through to more modern stuff, tradition, nostalgia. Sure, I'm going to sell you something, Scott. Oh, look at the look on his face. And whatever, I've got every range from all types, a variation of everything, a bit of everything.
So Andy, if I'm not in London, so I'm not traveling to London, I haven't spent thousands of dollars to fly here, stay in a hotel.
Yeah.
How do I find you?
Well, I've got a website. It's at andymoranttoys.co.uk. And if you go on the site, it shows you what I take down to the market, Portobello, each week, and what I've got at home. And I think there were 120 pictures with about 10,000 figures on at the moment on the site. Well, it was a couple of weeks ago. Now Christmas is a bit less. And it's got my email details, my email, my telephone, everything there. The whole wax on there, and you can just get in contact with me from that. And I try and change it up as many times as I can, and I can post away as well.
So Andy, you've been doing this since 1989.
Yeah.
What's changed since then?
Well, you mean apart from my belly and I had hair in those days, yeah? Yeah, well, apart from that, the toy soldier business anyway, it's changed dramatically. There were so many dealers in the old days. This is before the internet as well. So, and it's just less and less around. More people have got it in their collections, etc. So it's just harder to find everything these days. It's interesting though, because in the market we started in the 80s. There was no eBay, things like that, and then eBay came along, and then people were putting stuff on eBay, and then there were all the fakes were coming out as well, and nobody knew what they were buying and stuff like that. And then the better collectors went back to the dealers who knew what they were doing in the first place. But as I say, there's so little around as there was in the old days. You could buy thousands of figures in the old days. Now it's not as easy to get them. So it's interesting. So there's definitely less around. As you'll know if you come to London before, Hamleys, Selfridges, there were toy shops all over the place. They're not around anymore. Even Tradition have left London now. So there's nobody left in London. It's interesting though, because I think the biggest thing with the toy soldier game is the interest is huge when people can see them. I get so many people coming to my table, stopping, taking photos. I mean, I'm on the 10 best site in Portobello. Even on the 10 best they got down there, you got to queue up to get into the table, you know, just to have a look. And when people come, they just love them, but they got nowhere to see it in the first place. And then they learn about it, they buy it. There's new collectors in the market. I've got kids, 10, 11, 12 years old, and their parents are spending lots of money on them for the figures. But if these kids never came to the market, they wouldn't be collecting in the first place. So they've got nowhere to see this. When that's the biggest shame, in a sense, for the entire business. Good for my business, but for the whole collecting scene, not as good.
So Andy, where do you see collecting going over the next 10 years as collectors get older, they pass on, and these inventories that they've been holding, how does that impact the other collectors coming up behind them and you as a seller?
Yeah, I think you've got to look at the different type of collectors coming up behind to start with and what they're looking for. As I said, there are youngsters around, there are kids. I mean, some kids, 10, 11, guys in their 20s, 30s. I got a customer in his 20s who's got maybe 5, 6, 7,000 soldiers in his collection, and he's still buying all the time. So they are around. It's how much they're going to spend, I suppose, if you're looking at it from a business point of view. It's a tough one, because you've also got to think the older figures are now really in the antique realm, and you get those in the boxes, you're looking at a real piece of antiques now. So their prices are really, the prices for box sets, early box sets now are costing a lot of money. Now, they're holding their own. It's a very tough call to know how it's going to go completely.
So Andy, as the 60, 70, and 80-year-old collectors start to pass on and their collections start coming onto the market, what do you think that'll have in terms of impact for the prices, for other collectors? Where do you see that going?
Yeah, well, as I say, one thing you got to remember is who are the new collectors coming in? If there were enough new collectors coming in, and I've got enough new collectors coming in, it'll be fine for me. For the overall, but then again, I'm one of the few people that actually display, and you can actually see these collections all the time. So for me, that's different. For people that have collections, the oldest figures and the rarest ones in the boxes will always make their money. Yeah. For the bulk ones, that's a tough call.
Do you see it depressing prices then?
Do I see it depressing prices? Well, it hasn't really depressed the prices too much. I know there's a lot of talk about, oh, these are going down and these are costing less, but some of the things are going for fortunes as well. The rarer bits. As a whole collection, will they go down or not? I'm not sure. I can't tell. One thing I do know is that one of my best customers turned around and he bought he bought a Ferrari for 100 grand, and he thought he'd buy another one for 100,000. Yeah, and he had one of the biggest collections of figures, if not the biggest in the world. Yeah, and he always turned around at the end of it. He said, yeah, but you know, I bought a Ferrari. I wanted to buy another one for 100 grand. He said, if I didn't do that, I'd die. My son would get my money and he'd buy the Ferrari and he'd be driving around in it. So he said, these guys are going to get their money in the end. Yeah, they're going to get it into the market. Don't worry about it. It's as simple as that. If you're older, in your 60s and your 70s, enjoy it. You will make money on them. You'll sell them eventually. If you get more or less, that depends on the time. But that's not your problem. You're not around anymore.
So, Andy, any last words on the future of the hobby, or what we can do to make it better, or what is impacting it?
Right, to make it better, visibility. Absolutely, it's down to the visibility. People don't know. We in the hobby, we all know what we collect. We know other collectors, etc. We can discuss it. But there are so many people, as I said, that actually love these things when they see them, but they never get a chance to see them. We need more visibility. I do my best. I'm out there every week showing it to the world in the market, but there's not many people doing this anywhere. And unless you go to certain shows in London, you haven't got a chance. You never see them in England either. It's another strange thing, is that it's down to what's in vogue at the time. You might get, for example, we've got the new Napoleonic movie coming out now, right? I know I'm going to get away with people collecting Napoleon figures. I've actually had collectors just up till now buying up my Napoleonic sets in case I haven't got them afterwards. So you get things like that. Gladiator, the same thing happened when that was on. You get things like that. And you've also got to remember it's related to current events, like things like sports figures will only keep going up and up and up and up. I shouldn't be telling you this because I'm trying to buy as many as I can, but I've already got a lot anyway. But you try and get these sports figures now, they just keep going up and up because footballers are earning £500,000 a week. Their girlfriends are paying £10,000 for a bag. It is nothing for them to buy a football team for that amount of money. They don't even think twice about it. And you would be surprised the number. I know a lot of you guys in the are watching your podcast there, Scott. I know about this. They do not know the normal people coming along the road who spend hundreds of pounds, thousands of pounds on these figures. They're not collectors. Yeah, at the moment they're not collectors. They might just want some, and then they come back. A lot of people in the collectors' games, they all deal between themselves. They all know everybody. They buy things. I'll sell this to him. I know he'll like this. I like that. I don't deal like that. I just buy as much as I can, and I know people will come to me to buy it because I know the interest is out there, and it's a different ball game for me. It's I don't rely on just collectors at all. In fact, I'm the opposite. I rely on the people coming to the market, the floating people who keep coming back all the time, who are not in the collector's world. It's very interesting. There's a lot of people out there interested in this. I just don't know where to see it.
And you recall, back in the day when Britons were originally starting their manufacturing, it was often driven by world events. Do you see that happening too?
Yeah. If anything happens now, it's any world event could kickstart something off again. A war between two countries, things like that. The figures coming out, people will buy these things. They were in those days. There's still interest now. Going away from this, I bought very quickly. I do other toys as well. I do die-cast dinkies and things like that. When the Russian conflict started, I was offered I shouldn't tell you the price of this, but I was offered 50. I will tell you, I was offered 50 Russian tanks for £50. Yeah, because the guy just wanted to get rid of them. He didn't like the war started. I'm getting £10 a piece for them, and if you take them to the market, they're gone like that every day. Yeah, I know. That's the way it is. You know, what can you say?
Well, listen, Andy, I want to thank you for this time.
Yeah.
I want to wish you a happy Christmas and a happy New Year.
Great, thanks, Scott. Yeah.
And I hope to see you again next year.
I'll be here.
All right.
Hopefully, still 34 years, still going.
Great news. Thanks, Andy.
All right, cheers, Scott.
Cheers. Bye-bye.
Well, I hope you enjoyed hearing from Andy and his thoughts on toy soldier collecting. I, for one, could have spent the entire day talking to him, and he has a lot to say and a lot of experiences to share. As I said earlier, check out his website, which I'll leave in the description paragraph, or if you are in London on a Saturday, you can visit him at his stall in Portobello Market. Please hit the subscribe and like button on your way out. If you have any comments, feel free to leave them for others. All the best to you in the new year, and until next time, keep collecting.